Hello again. Today's story is called The Foolish Brothers. On a small farm in the west of Ireland, there lived two brothers, Mick and Sean. They had a cow and one horse and a little vegetable garden at the edge of the woods. Their farm provided them with plenty of food and a small income, but they were never happy with what they had, and they always longed for more. And one day, when they were working in their garden, they heard a shout coming from the woods. It was a very screechy sort of a shout, and they didn't know if it was an animal or a person who had made it. They went to investigate, and as they walked into the woods, they saw a little small man pinned to the ground under a branch that had fallen down from a tree right on top of him. Now this little fellow was wearing a suit of bottle green, and beside him there was a little hammer and some tiny shoes. He was calling out for someone to set him free. Now Mick was about to pick up the branch, but Sean grabbed him by the arm. "Will you wait a minute, Mick? Can't you see that this is a leprechaun that we've found? Look, there's a little hammer beside him, and the little fairy shoes. Sure, everybody knows that a leprechaun is the fairy shoemaker, and he can grant us 3 wishes. They told the leprechaun that they would set him free if he promised to give them the wishes. "I will not give you my wishes," said the leprechaun. "They're the only ones I have." Well, Sean and Mick told him they just wouldn't set him free unless he gave them the wishes, and finally the little man had to give in. But he warned them, "These wishes will make you no better off than you were before you had them." Now the brothers didn't care about that, and as long as they had the promise of the wishes, they were satisfied. They picked up the branch, and in a flash, the leprechaun vanished. Now Mick and Sean started to walk back towards their little cottage, and they were wondering what great things they were going to wish for. Oh, a great big farm of land with a big house and hundreds of cattle. Their minds were filled with these thoughts as they walked in the door to their kitchen. "Now, Mick, we should sit down first and have our supper, and then we'll decide what we're going to wish for," Sean said. "Oh, I suppose you're right," says Mick, "but I wish we had a pot of soup on the fire right now so we could have the supper and get it over with." And, well, those words were no sooner out of Mick's mouth when a pot of soup appeared on the fire. Oh, Sean was in a terrible rage. "Look what you did, you silly thing! You wasted one of our good wishes on an old pot of soup! Oh, you were so silly, I wish that pot of soup would stick onto your nose!" And these words were no sooner out of Sean's mouth when that pot of soup came up from the fire and stuck onto Mick's nose. Well, they pulled at it and they tugged at it, but no matter what they did, that pot of soup would not budge. Sean was beginning to realize that he only had one wish left and was wondering how they could possibly use it for something useful. So he says to Mick, "Do you know, Mick, I think you look very handsome with that pot of soup on your nose. Do you think maybe you could live like that so we could use the last wish on something constructive and useful?" Well, Mick finally convinced Sean that he could not spend the rest of his life with a pot of soup stuck to his nose, so they had to use the last wish to get rid of it. And as soon as they wished that the pot of soup be gone, it was gone. And with it went the 3 wishes. So the leprechaun was right. They were no better off after they got those wishes than they were before they had them. And that's the story of the Foolish Brothers. Stay well and read. Read every day. Bye-bye.